Late Night Health continues as we introduce you to Roxanne Green, the president of the Natural Products Association. She's been on the show before. Roxanne and I met about, a little over a year ago. We saw each other about a month and a half ago in Anaheim at the Natural Products Expo West, and I spent 3 days with Roxanne last week in Washington, D.C. for the, I believe, the 17th National Natural Products Lobby Day. Is that correct, Roxanne?
That is correct.
I got my numbers right at last. I got to tell you, I've never been a lobbyer or a lobbyist before. It was very interesting, a little tiring walking up the Capitol steps, walking down the Capitol steps, walking across the street into an office building, walking up those steps, walking up to the fourth floor, anyway, and then down again after. Anyway, we had a good time. Was the lobbying day effective as far as the NPA is concerned?
Yes, we're very excited. We had over 100 people that attended, and afterwards, when we had a reception for our industry champions, everybody came back and was giving me feedback saying they were really positively received at every office that they went. And
that's good news. And let's be clear. What we were there to talk about primarily was GMO, genetically modified organisms. And we weren't saying that it was a good thing or a bad thing. I think you and I both agree that we don't want to eat them ourselves. But we also want the right to know if we're eating them, and that's really what we were talking about. We want labels on food products to say this was raised as a GMO, genetically modified corn, or it's a non-GMO corn. Am I correct in that?
Exactly right. Yes, we feel it's people's right to know what they're eating, what's in their food. So we weren't arguing science at all. Just we have the right to know what's in our food.
It was interesting to me that one of the staffers didn't understand that, and our friend, one of our friends at the NPA, said to me, Mark, I know you like to talk, but this is your first time. Maybe don't talk so much. And so I was pretty reticent, which is not my nature, until I was with one staffer who kept saying, the FDA says that GMO is safe. So, well, thank you guys for coming in. And 2 or 3 people finally said the FDA has said the same thing. And then I said, excuse me, the FDA has never been wrong? And she listened to me. I said, we're not talking about right or wrong here. We're just talking about the labeling issue, that people want to know or should have the right to know if they're buying a product that is genetically modified or not. And some of the stories I've heard about GMO scare the living daylights out of me. But we weren't there for that. Do you think we have a chance of having a national GMO bill passed?
I definitely think we do. It's still going to take some more time, but more and more states are starting to generate labeling bills or bills, to gear towards labeling. It hasn't passed everywhere, but it's showing the movement of the consumers. And I think as we get more movement per state, then it's going to have to go federal.
I know that you're in Seattle, Washington, or just outside of Seattle. You're in Redmond?
My store's in Redmond, yes.
You work in Redmond.
Mm-hmm.
And here in California last year, our GMO labeling bill was turned down. But we're being outspent by, I'm just going to say it, Monsanto, DuPont, all the guys who make the seeds, the GMO seeds.
Right.
And it's what is it, 10 to 1? More than that.
More than that.
Wow. It doesn't seem to be right.
No, but
it's just the way it works. Is that what?
It's the way it works currently. I think as more and more consumers are educated, and we stick with that, it's their right to know. We don't argue science. Then we have a much stronger case. And even in Washington State, I had a lot of people that shop at PCC Natural Markets that said, well, what's the big deal? And so I said, well, you shop here for a reason. Why do you shop here? And they said, because we don't have to read the labels. I said, uh-huh.
And you don't have any GMO products, or very few?
Very few. All of our fresh products are totally non-GMO. Our produce department is 98% organic. So the only place that we're still having to screen for GMOs is in the packaged products, and we're not totally non-GMO yet. It's something we're working on.
I don't know if you know this or not, but if there were cornfield A next to cornfield B, cornfield A was GMO, wouldn't that cross-pollinate with B, or is GMO corn sterile?
No, it definitely cross-pollinates, and
Oops.
it shows that there have been a couple news stories out there where Monsanto has actually sued a couple farmers because they unknowingly were growing GMO corn that Monsanto has patented. But it was from drift. So what the organic farmers are doing is, obviously they have to make sure that they're not next to acreage that has anything genetically modified growing next to it, but they also do barrier crops. So a lot of like larch trees and that kind of thing that are going to catch any of the cross-pollination so it doesn't get onto their crops.
One of the members from Ohio was telling me about bees. Did you hear that story?
There's a lot of different stories about the bees that they think
are dying.
That they're dying.
Yeah.
And they think that's two reasons possibly, but they really have not pinpointed it yet. They do think, number one, it could be pesticides, the oil-based pesticides like Roundup.
Right.
And then secondly, it could be the GMO crops, but they don't have definitive science on either one of those yet.
Got it. We are talking with Roxanne Green. She's the president of the Natural Products Association. She's been the president of the, I guess, northwestern region of the NPA as well, and has been involved in the natural products industry for at least 6 years now.
31 years.
31 years. And the company you work for, actually, you're one of the owners. You've been there for how long?
Well, that's it. I've been at PCC Natural Markets. We are the largest natural foods co-op in the U.S., and I have been here for 31 years.
And you're about to open store number 10. Congratulations.
We are, yes.
Are people more interested in natural products, organics, than they used to be, do you think?
Definitely, yes, because our customer base is growing and growing, and that's why we're opening our 10th store. This Redmond store that I work in is 7 years old, and we're growing by leaps and bounds. More and more people coming in. A lot of moms, with new babies, you start, changing your diet a little bit, what
right.
you feed your child, so yes, definitely growing.
Have you always been interested in health yourself, Roxanne?
I have been because my family was.
Well, that's unusual. You have a Hispanic background,
mm-hmm.
and typical Mexican fare is loaded with lard,
mm-hmm.
And a lot of pork products and things like that, and
right.
They're delicious.
Yes, they are. And but my family, my mother would tell you that we're Spanish, we're not Mexican.
Okay, all right. And there is a difference in the cuisine.
There is a difference in the cuisine. A lot of fruit and vegetables. I grew up in Denver, so unfortunately there wasn't the quantity of seafood that the family would traditionally eat. But we did eat a whole lot of fruit and vegetables. We were not vegetarian, but it was at the base of our diet.
Did you grow any of your own food, or just made sure?
Oh yeah, my mom and dad always had some kind of a garden going. In Denver you get a lot of sunshine, so yes, we always had a garden growing with a lot of the staples. I love chilies. Growing up in that area, so we've always had chilies. We always had greens, squashes, pumpkins.
I grow. What am I growing? Oh, Meyer lemons. I have a Meyer.
Meyer lemons.
I have yes. We have a wonderful Meyer lemon tree, and Meyer lemons to me they taste. It's a similar but yet different, more to me exquisite taste than a regular lemon. And as far as we know, it's non-GMO, and it is not and it's organic because we don't do anything. We stuck it in the ground 12 years ago, and it's still growing and providing fruit.
Perfect.
In the next year, what are some of the goals of the Natural Products Association as it affects the consumer? Because even though you represent manufacturers and marketers of products, you're really a consumer group, to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, ultimately, the consumer, that's why everybody does what they do. Whether you're a retailer or a broker or a manufacturer, it's all geared towards the consumer. And so what we're working on these next couple of years is we're just going to keep on plugging away about GMO labeling, and just label it. Your right to know is the key phrase. And then we are going to we're starting to work with other groups, like-minded groups, so we have a bigger voice and more numbers. So we are just starting a connection with the Organic Trade Association and the Just Label It group. So those are our key things that we're.
And being a part of the Late Night Health family, you forgot that. Come on.
Of course, that's one of our nice voices right there.
You got it. What can people do to request information about GMO? I mean, they go into their local market, and there's two things. It says, GM. It doesn't. How do they? Should they just ask at the market? Is this
That's it exactly, because that is going to be our biggest voice, is people just asking at their market, and not, a natural foods market either. Just go into your regular market that you shop at and start asking the question.
And not, well, I'm going to ask, what is your opinion of GMO yourself? Would you eat it?
Personally, no. I eat or organic if possible, always organic if possible.
And you also, and that would be non-GMO as well.
Of course. So organic, by definition, has to be non-GMO.
And I guess one of the issues is that some of the seed manufacturers want to have the wording natural to include GMO products, which infuriates me.
That's not natural, because you had to change it in a lab to be GMO. That's not natural.
Absolutely. Listen, Roxanne, we'll do this again. We'll have more people. We have a new CEO coming on board at the NPA, and we'll have him on shortly as well, and the COO and other members of the staff. Hey, listen, have a great night, and thank you very much for doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you. You also. Always enjoy talking to you. It was a pleasure.
Me too. Thank you very much, Roxanne Green, the president of the Natural Products Association. Coming up next on Late Night Health, Carol Summer Kretschmann will be joining us from Peace in the Streets. I'm Mark Allen. This is Late Night Health.